Hey guys, this is Zach Hampel with a preview slash critique of SunTrust Park, the Braves' new stadium, which will be opening for the first time just a few months from now. Right now it's January 2017. I can't wait to get there, but I just thought it would be fun to flip through some of the images, critique it from a ball hawking perspective. Okay, it's a beautiful facility, but there are some things that I can already tell are going to be difficult when you're there trying to catch balls in the stands. So, let's get to it. First things first, a nice aerial view of the stadium. And sorry if my voice sounds different, I've had to record this on two different devices. But what jumps out at me right away is the bullpen out here in right center. That's kind of in a frustrating spot because a lot of home run balls are going to land there. If you're in the seats up here, you're not going to have that many opportunities because any home run is going to have to clear the bullpen and therefore be hit more than 400 feet. Right field in general is kind of jumbled up, a lot of different sections, angles, structures. I think it's going to look great and be a fun place to hang out, but if you compare that to all of this empty space, well, I think left field is clearly the place to be. Now this aerial view shows the other bullpen down the left field line. This spot is also going to swallow up home run balls, but not as many as if it were positioned out in straightaway or left center, so that is a good thing. But here's something that's not so good. You can follow my arrow around down the foul line behind home plate and out down the right field line toward the corner. To me, that looks like it's going to be a walkway, and I predict that it will be heavily guarded by security who will be checking tickets. It's not going to be a spot where anybody in the stadium can go walk around and hang out. When I see something like that in a stadium, I refer to it as a moat. And there are other ballparks that have stuff like that. For example, Marlins Park has one on both sides of the stadium. You can see it here on the third base side. So you can go and hang out here before games, but not during. And they will check your ticket and kick you out. Here's what it looks like if you're actually down in there in Miami on the right field side. If you have one of these tickets down in here, you're golden. But if you're stuck up here like these guys, you're pretty much screwed when it comes to getting toss-ups. PNC Park has something similar. You can hang out here before the game, but not during. Yankee Stadium has something, again, just the same, but it's super strict in New York. I mean, you basically have to be one of the Steinbrenners or have a gazillion dollars and have one of these fancy Legends tickets where there's free food, lobster, steak, all that stuff, even for batting practice if you want to go and hang out here. So it'll be interesting to see how the Braves do things. Here's another aerial view, which really shows a lot, but a couple things that I'll just point out for right now, starting with this walkway on top of and behind the bleachers in right center. It looks like it leads to this open-air patio on top of this restaurant bar thing. During the Home Run Derby, whenever it takes place in Atlanta, that might actually be a great spot. Other than that, I don't think it'll be very useful in terms of catching balls, but it's just a really interesting feature in this new stadium. But where does it go on this side behind the scoreboard? What's the story? Well, I think I've figured that out in an image coming up soon, so I'll save that for a moment. I want to point out, though, right now, something about this scoreboard which is kind of funny. So here's a zoomed-in version of that. The home team, of course, has the bottom part of the line score, so you can see that the visiting team has 6 runs and the Braves have 3. In fact, the Braves have even made an error in this game. So what is going on? Art department, marketing department, Atlanta Braves, hello. Why are you having your team already losing before they've played a game in their new stadium? That makes no sense. But let's talk about things that matter more, like the placement of these tunnels out in right field. Right in the middle of this seating area, that's going to make it really tough to run back and forth and chase home run balls. I mean, it won't matter so much during games when it's crowded, but during BP, it's going to be really frustrating. Other examples of stadiums that have similar tunnels. Tropicana Field. You can see them right here in right field blocking the way. People assume that this stadium would be great because attendance is pretty low, but if you're down in front, it gets a little bit crowded in BP, and if you hang out at the back, most guys don't hit the balls that far, so these tunnels really mess you up and limit mobility in a huge way. Same thing with Cincinnati in right field. You can see there's 4 tunnels that cut right into the seats. It's one thing to watch for. I pay attention to all this stuff. Here's a view from behind home plate. And I guess the thing that I really like about this is the very wide aisle here. I mean, if you are going to have a moat, at least have a nice wide one where if you do have a ticket down here, you can take advantage and chase foul balls. And it looks like if you follow the cursor over to the right field side, it looks like the aisle, I mean, it makes sense that it would be symmetrical and match up. So potentially a lot of room to run. But like I said, you're not just going to be allowed to hang out there. You're going to need a ticket down here. And you might not even if you have a ticket in the front row, they might not let you just stand here against this back wall. Or maybe they'll have little lines in the pavement designated as standing room. Who knows? But again, this could be a great spot for foul balls, so pay attention and take advantage if you are able to do so. Here's a closer look at left field. In particular, I want to point out the seats behind the bullpen because it looks like these seats are tucked underneath the overhang of the second deck. So many ballparks nowadays are being built like that. That's how they can advertise by saying, oh, a greater percentage of our seats are closer to home plate than any other stadium. Yeah, because you stack them on top of each other and it can actually end up feeling a little bit cramped. But I don't think a lot of home runs are going to land in these seats here. You're going to see home runs landing in the bullpen. You'll probably see some balls going into the second deck. This is not going to be a high probability spot. The first few rows will get home run balls, but where is it always most crowded? Down in front. So I would probably avoid this whole area during batting practice. Here's another rendition that I just threw in basically because it reminds me of Comerica Park. All these green seats that kind of sweep up to this brick wall, left field, right field, same thing, and then all this vegetation on and in front of the batter's eye. Take a look, a little comparison with Comerica. That's me sitting out in right field, but you can see left field, the green, the brick, right field, same thing, batter's eye. So just something interesting that jumped out at me. Now let's get into some actual construction photos. Remember that walkway I pointed out behind the right center field bleachers? Well, look at this. It looks like it actually connects to what might be a deck on top of the batter's eye. This white wall will maybe be painted black at the start of the season, and at some point in the near-ish future, it might be covered with ivy. You're going to have trees down in front, two different tiers of trees. So what I'm thinking is there could be home runs, maybe that are hit at least 425, 430, that land right here, maybe roll to the back wall, and you could use a glove trick or some kind of ball retrieving device to pick up those baseballs. But if there's too many trees and bushes, or if this whole wall ends up being covered with ivy, that'll just be impossible. And of course, security just might not allow that in the first place, but it is something to keep in mind. All right, now we're going to take a quick look at the dimensions. Looks like this place is definitely smaller than Turner Field, so that's good. There should be some more home runs hit than the old ballpark, but not at the rate of it just being an absolute joke. But down the right field line, it's 325, and I'm pointing this out because you can see in this photo what the right field seats are going to look like over there. So if it's 325 to this spot, well, I looked it up. The right field wall is 16 feet high, and then you figure it's maybe, 30 feet to the back wall with a slight slope. So the point is there are going to be balls hit under 400 feet that reach this back wall, that just completely clear the seats. So if you are back in here, I just want to caution you to pay attention because of this brick wall and the windows and the railings and the steps, the balconies up here. There's going to be a lot of deflection, so pay attention so you don't get hit. And also pay attention to see if there's a walkway back here where you might be able to hang out and run for baseballs. There might not be enough room depending on where that last row of seating is. And if a lot of people are constantly funneling in and out of this doorway, all these glass doors might just be left open to this bar or restaurant, but that's just something to keep in mind. It could be a good home run catching opportunity up in here. Also, look at this wooden thing at the front of the right field seats. What is that? Well, I'm curious to know if it's going to be a gap where baseballs can land, or you might have opportunities with a ball retrieving device. So, unfortunately, it looks like that's not going to happen. You can see down in here, it looks like there's some sort of dirt or soil, and rather than just being space all the way down, it looks like it's filled in. I mean, maybe there is space underneath that where employees can walk, but as far as I'm concerned, when you're actually in the seats,
There's no gap down there. That's really unfortunate. And over in left field, you're going to see something similar. This is an earlier construction photo where it looks like, oh, there could be a gap maybe down in front. Oh, and by the way, look at all these railings on the staircases. Unfortunately, yep, that's part of the design. There are a few stadiums that don't have any railings in the outfield, and it's so much easier to move around. But unfortunately, here in Atlanta, they decided to put them in. But as far as down in front, this whole gap thing, take a look at this. Here's a later construction photo, and wah, wah. It looks like there's some grass or bushes. Maybe they're going to wait and plant some flowers when the weather gets warmer, but I think it's going to end up looking something like this in Citizens Bank Park, which it just kills glove trick opportunities, but on the plus side, it prevents fan interference. Here's Target Field, something similar. It's really annoying if you're there with a device and you want to try to pluck a baseball off the warning track, but I'm not going to blame a team for wanting to hang on to more baseballs and prevent fan interference and even prevent injuries. If someone flips over this railing, they're only going to fall about 3 feet rather than falling 10 feet down onto the dirt way down below or the concrete. So it is safer, but not as fun from a collecting standpoint. Now I had to throw this in. This is a photo that I took at Turner Field a number of years ago. This glorious, blissful gap behind the left field wall. I mean, foul pole to batter's eye. So many balls drop down in there. I used to average like half a dozen balls every day during batting practice with my glove trick way back in the day before everyone and their dog started showing up with devices. Here's a photo of me. You can see me right here. That's my face, my arm, and string lowering my glove on top of a baseball that had fallen down in there. So unfortunately, I don't think there are going to be many opportunities like this at the new ballpark, maybe in the bullpens, but my guess is that stadium security will crack down on that stuff. Here's just a quick aerial view that shows the non-gap in front of the left field seats. You can get another look at the moat that runs all the way around the lower seating bowl. And over here down the left field line, the second deck, you can really see it overhanging the bullpen. So again, I think there will be baseballs that land up here, but probably not enough to make it worthwhile to just make that your main strategy for catching home runs. Here's another shot from way up high, outside looking in. Stadium is really coming along. Most of the seats are in. Left field, man, that looks beautiful. I'm really excited to catch some home runs out in here. This is a shot from behind home plate looking out toward left field. You can count the sections 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half, maybe 5, depending on how you look at it. That's going to be pretty good. It's going to be a good spot. And here's another look at it from way up high, but let's compare that to Turner Field. You ready to see how many sections there were at the TED? Oh man, look at that. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a huge patch of real estate, folks. It was such a great spot to catch home runs. If guys were yanking balls down the line, you play here. If Freddie Freeman was up and you didn't want to run to right field, you could hang out in left center and he'd put a few balls out there. Hunter Pence is up, hitting 430-foot bombs. You play in the cross aisle. There were all kinds of opportunities. And of course, you had that huge gap all over the place. So I really miss Turner Field. I averaged more than 13 balls per game there. That's not going to happen at the new stadium, I guarantee it. Now here's a shot from foul territory, second deck on the third base side. This is a pretty wide, pretty big area, so there'll be a lot of foul balls hit up here by left-handed batters, but there's no cross aisle. There's no definitive spot or guaranteed opportunity to be able to run around a lot. So unless the attendance is low for whatever reason, someone's getting blown out, the weather sucks, you're just not going to have a whole lot of room to chase baseballs up in here. Here's a shot taken from a similar spot, but facing out toward the outfield. And I just want to point out the bullpen down the line and the foul pole. So take a look at that, and I'm going to show you a photo of Chase Field, and you're going to say, wow, Zach, that's a good call. It's pretty similar. You ready for that? Here we go. Yeah, see what I'm talking about? So this is always kind of a tough area at Chase Field. Not too many balls get hit up in there. I have used the glove trick from the back wall of the bullpen a bit, but overall it's just kind of an area to avoid. Pregame toss-ups, bullpen sessions, that'll be good. but you won't see me near the foul poles too much at SunTrust Park. And finally, this is the last photo I got, the seats behind home plate. I'm guessing this will be the umpire tunnel, and if this is indeed where they walk off, it's going to be tough to get baseballs from them. This looks like it's going to be a big restricted club area, second deck too. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, a lot of new stadiums are built that way, with seats behind home plate where normal people just can't go. But if you look at the seats over here, they all have these little white dots on them. See that? Those, I believe, are little metal things with the seat numbers, and you can see that those do not appear on the seats over in here, because I think these seats are made of a different material. My guess is that they are padded. So there should be some sort of railing or barricade here that prevents people from going side to side. There will be a lot of foul balls hit up in here and up in here, righties and lefties. There may be some foul balls even reaching this high. It's hard for me to tell from this angle just how far back it is, but if the starting pitchers are throwing smoke, there could be a lot of foul balls throughout the game. I'm guessing this is the press level. There could be a walkway between the bricks and these few rows of seats, but again, this could even be some type of club seating as well. So I'm thinking this whole area is going to be fairly restricted. I'll let you figure that out when the time comes, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I am so excited to go check it out. Yeah, you know how excited I am? Look at this. How's that? All kinds of love for Atlanta. This place is going to be my 53rd Major League Stadium when I do finally make it there. I don't have dates picked out yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen at some point in the 2017 season, hopefully in the first half, hopefully for just more than one game, and of course with my videographer, because I definitely want to do some videos for you guys to show you firsthand what it's all about. I don't think it's going to be a huge numbers ballpark in terms of catching a lot of baseballs. Double digits will probably be pretty tough, but a lot will depend on how early the gates open. Turner Field was 2.5 hours early. We'll see if the Braves keep things the same at their new stadium. And of course, the issue of the gaps or potential gaps in front of the outfield sections. It looks like there won't be gaps, which is a bummer. That takes away a lot of opportunities, but regardless, I am so excited for this stadium and the 2017 season in general. Thank you for watching.